Welcome back. 1.5b is in Bravo. Example 10, page 1 or page 59. And example 10 says find the value of this when x is that. So what we're going to do is we're going to substitute 2 in whenever we see an x. And I prefer, the book doesn't do this, but I prefer when I substitute to put the number in parentheses, just because I'm used to doing it that way. I guess I don't know why I do it, but it seems to work for me. So 2 cubed is 8, minus 3, 2 squared is 4, plus 4 times 2 is 8, minus 5. And we just kind of keep going. PEMDAS says that at this point, after we've done the exponents, we do the multiplication from left to right. And then we do the addition and subtraction from left to right. 40 minus 12 is 28, plus 8 minus 5. So 36 minus 5, which equals 31. All right. One of the things they're going to get into a little bit with their story problems in this particular section is using 3 letters. P equals R minus C. And in retail industry or in manufacturing, P stands for profit. R stands for revenue. And C stands for, sorry, my writing is so clunky, cost. So profit is, after you paid all the bills, this is how much money you have in your pocket. Cost is how much it costs to create the product. Revenue is how much money you made when you sold it. So let's look at this for a minute. You have some AirPods that you've just made in a little town, and you're selling those for $200. So that is the revenue, what you're selling them for, how much money you're going to make. Let's say that they cost you $50 to make. So that's the cost. Your profit is $150. So if we look at our formula up here, profit, 150 equals revenue minus cost. And that's where the $150 in profit came from, is from this formula right here. So let's go ahead and keep that formula up there and look at example 11 on page 60. The hard part is they make these problems sometimes difficult just because of the way they're worded. So let's look at this and see what we come up with. Company produces, sells copies of an accounting program for home computers. The total weekly cost for the company to produce X copies, which means any amount, we don't know how many, is C equals 8x plus 500. So the cost is, so C equals 8x plus 500. You don't have to understand what these numbers mean. That's just the formula. Find the weekly profit. So what are we looking for? We're looking for this right here. We found C because C is this information right here. Find the weekly profit if the total revenue, okay, now we're going to find out the formula for the revenue, is 35x minus 0.1x squared. So again, you don't have to understand where that formula came from, just that we have it. And so what does it say? R equals this. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our original formula. We're looking for profit, and it's R minus C. Well, R equals this. So instead of putting R in there, I'm going to put, I'll put that in parentheses. That's my R. And my C, if I look back at this formula, is C equals 8x plus 500. And again, I'm going to put it in parentheses. So there's my formula. They're interested in finding out how much profit will the company make if they produce and sell 100 copies of the program a week? Okay, so what we're going to do here, first of all, we're going to make this equation simpler. So let's take this and just make it a little bit easier to work with. So P equals 35x minus 0.1x squared minus 8x minus 500. Because remember, we have to distribute. We're trying to get parentheses off. So the way you take the parentheses off on the second parenthesis here is to change the signs of everything in there. So we have that. Okay. Next step we're going to do is we're going to try to combine like terms. The only like terms we have is this 35x and this minus 8x. So let's combine those, and we get 27x minus 0.1x squared minus 500. And make that equal to our p still. We're not doing anything with that p right now. So there is our simplified formula. And what does it say here? It says, how much profit will the company make if they produce and sell 100 copies? Well, that 100 goes in here for x, because earlier it said x equals the number of copies. So let's go ahead and put that 100 in there every time we see x. Okay, so I haven't really done anything yet. I'm just kind of filling in blanks. So 27 times 100, 2700 minus 100 squared is 10,000 times 0.1. So you might want to have a calculator for that. Minus 500. Now we can combine these. 2,700 minus 1,000 is 1,700 minus 500 equals 1,200. So the profit, P, is $1,200 when we sell 100 copies. And remember, that 100 came from the story problem itself. How much money will the company make if they produce and sell 100 copies? So that's example 11. All right, let's jump to multiplying polynomials. Multiplying polynomials is a whole lot more fun than adding and subtracting. So let's look at example 12 and just give some examples here to key you in on how this works. So it says find the product of 4x cubed times 5x squared minus 3x plus 1. So we're multiplying those. So it's easy enough just to distribute. So we're going to distribute this. Now, remember, it does not matter in multiplication if anything is the same. Okay, so we can multiply those together. 4 times 5 is 20. X cubed times x squared. Remember, when you multiply with exponents, you add the exponents. Now we're going to multiply this 4x cubed times 3x. So 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. X cubed times x to the 1. Remember, you add the exponents. And then this times 1. Anything times 1 is itself, so we don't really do anything there except put that up there. And one of the things that we need to remember to do is make sure our variables, our exponents on our variables, are in descending order, 5, 4, 3, and they are. So we're done. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Example 13. Multiply 2x minus 3 and x plus 5. So we're going to multiply that and that. So, multiplying polynomials, there are a couple different ways that we're going to do this. The book gives you a distributive property way, which I don't like to teach because I think it's pretty confusing. So I'm going to show you two different ways to do it. One is called the vertical method. And the vertical method says that you take 2x minus 3 over x plus 5. And the vertical method has you multiply just like you normally multiply two-digit numbers. So if you had like 23 times 45, in order to multiply those, you multiply first the 3 times the 5, right? Well, that's what we're going to do here. We're going to multiply these. Negative 3 times times positive 5 is negative 15. And then when you multiply these two-digit numbers, you multiply this number times this number. And that's the same thing we're going to do here. 2x times 5. And we get 10x. The next step you do when you're multiplying two-digit numbers is you multiply these two. And that's what we're going to do next. We're going to multiply this times x, negative 3 times x. And we're going to put it in the next row down, one place over. And notice what happened here. We have an x here and an x here with no exponent. And that's what we want. We want them stacked on top of each other like that. And the final step when we have these is we multiply these. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to multiply these. And when we do that, we get 2x squared. Draw another line. Bring down our negative 15. Combine these. And bring this 2x squared down since there's nothing to add to that. And we get 2x squared plus 7x minus 15. Now that might be a new way of doing this to you, but so I want to show you one more doing it that way, and then we'll go on to another method. All right, I use both of those methods. So example 14, it's got 3 terms in one of the expressions and 2 terms in the other. The first expression is 2x minus 3y, 2 terms. So we're not going to use that. We're going to put the biggest one on top. So we're going to put 3x squared minus xy plus 4y squared. And we're going to multiply that by 2x minus 3y. So notice the 2 term I put as far right as I could, and I put them vertical here in columns. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply these first, and then I'm going to multiply these, and then these, all on the same row. And then when I start on this one, and this one, I'm going to put on the row below it. So here we go. Good times ahead. 4 times negative 3y. So 4y squared times negative 3y. Positive 4 times negative 3 is negative 12y, and you add the exponents. So that gives me 3. Next step, I'm going to multiply negative xy times negative 3y. Negative times a negative is a positive. And I have this x. There's not an x to multiply, so it just stays an x. Oops. And 3, the negative 3 didn't have anything to multiply by, so that 3 stays there too. And it's a positive 3 because of the negative times the negative. So the 3 doesn't have anything to multiply by because there's a 1 here. 3 times 1 is 3. So y times y. Y times y is y squared. Okay, now we're going to look at the third one. This times this. So 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. X squared times y. They're not the same, so we can't combine them. So we just write them stuck together like that. All right, next part is we're going to multiply this one times each one of these 3. So 2x times 4y squared is going to give me 8xy squared. So I put it in the second column there rather than below this. I put it below here. So that times that, and I'm going to do this times this, which is going to be negative 2x squared y, because x times x is x squared, and y times there isn't anything, it just stays there like that. Let's move this over a little bit. All right, now we've got one more. We're going to multiply this times this. So 3 times 2 is 6. And then x squared times x is x cubed. Draw a line under it. Bring down negative 12y cubed because there's nothing to combine it with. This here, I'm going to add those together because I have an x with the same variable or the same exponent and a y with the same exponent, so I can combine these two, and that will be 11xy squared. Now I'm going to add these. Negative 9 plus negative 2 is going to be negative 11. And then I've got, are they common terms? Yes, x squared, y1, y1, so I can add these two together. So I get x squared y. So remember, when you're adding the variables, you don't do anything with them. The only thing you add are the coefficients, the numbers in front of the variables. And then finally, there's nothing to add to the 6x cubed. So at this point, I am done because there are no like terms here to combine. So I just multiplied those through vertically. I really like multiplying through vertically because it makes it easier to multiply huge polynomials. But there is a second method, and that is when you have two binomials. If you remember, I said that a binomial was two terms. So that's a binomial. If I'm multiplying binomials like that, there is a certain method, and it's called the FOIL method. You may remember this from a long time ago. But FOIL is an acronym that means first, outside, inside, and last. That's where FOIL came from. So this is the way it works. First terms, this term times this term. Out means the outside one times this outside one, the one closest, to the ends. In means the two innermost ones. And let's see, what color do I want? Last means the last number and the last number. So that's what we're going to do here in order to multiply this through. It's basically the vertical method, only it looks a little bit different, but you're doing the exact same thing. So let's multiply the red arrows, or the red line first, because this is the first and this is the first. So 2x times 3x. 2 times 3 is 6. And x times x is x squared. Next one is the outside. The outside is going to be the 2x and the negative 2, the blue here. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And then there's just an x because I don't have anything to multiply it. Then the inside. The inside would be the negative 5 and the 3x. So let's multiply negative 5 times 3 and get negative 15. And again, there's nothing to multiply the x by, so it just stays. And the last part we do is the last, the yellow. The negative 5 is the last term in this one. Negative 2 is the last term in this one. Negative 5 times negative 2. Two negatives give me a positive, so I get a positive 10. And then I combine like terms. Almost all the time, the only like terms will be the inside 2. So 6x squared, negative 4x minus 15x, make that a plus, make that a minus. Signs are the same, so we add them. So let me take away that. 15 times 4 is 19x. And the sign on both of those is negative, so we get that. And then we add 10 here, and that is it. I'm going to have to make a third video, so hold on and we will go into the next one.